Herbs are wonderful magical plants to grow and use. They've been significant in all the great civilisations down through history, from Western Europe to ancient China and the Indian cultures of America. Today's knowledge of herbs is built up through thousands of years of experience. This traditional knowledge is now being added to by modern scientific research and development. The use of herbs may have been shrouded by many myths in the past, but today most of those old wives' tales have either been proven as fact or discarded as false. Herbs are plants whose roots, stems, leaves or flowers can be used for culinary, medicinal, perfumery or cosmetic purposes. Most herbs are soft-wooded plants with an obvious scent in either the flowers or the foliage when they're crushed. Many herbs also have ornamental features, such as their foliage, flowers, fruit or shape. Herbs are very versatile plants that can be grown almost anywhere. There are herbs suited to temperate zones, arid zones, moist areas and hot areas. Selection of the right herbs will help you ensure successful growing of these useful plants. Herbs may be used in a garden as a feature by themselves, or they can be used in a larger design. They may be grown in cottage gardens, vegetable patches, or as companions for other plants. They may be grown on a large scale as commercial crops, or on a small scale to be admired and used in the home. Some people grow their herbs in containers, or even hydroponics. Others grow them in the ground. It's all up to you. The way you grow your herbs and the style of herb garden is up to you. Herbs are often grown for the beneficial effect they have on nearby plants. Using herbs in this way is called companion planting. Companion planting can be used for all sorts of things: to improve the plant's resistance to insects or disease, to improve plant vigour, to attract bees and other pollinators, possibly to provide shelter from wind or shade from the sun. Some companion planting combinations are well proven and others are not. Garlic, like most plants in the onion family, is pungent smelling due to high levels of sulphur in the foliage. Sulphur, of course, is a natural fungicide. While the mechanism might not fully be understood, we do know that when garlic is planted under peach trees, the incidence of peach leaf curl, a fungus disease, is normally reduced. Garlic is said to similarly reduce disease in many other plants. Plant garlic to control black spot in roses, or plant garlic to deter borers, codlin moth, or other insect problems in fruit trees. Nematodes are microscopic worms which attack and damage a wide range of plants. They attack the roots. These vary from vegetables to fruit trees, bulbs, even flowering shrubs. The roots of marigolds exude a chemical which deters nematodes. Organic gardeners often plant nasturtiums because they attract pests such as aphis. In attracting aphis, nasturtiums are said to lure pests away from more valuable plants such as fruit trees where they might cause more damage. Perhaps one of the easiest ways to start a new herb garden is to create a no-dig garden. This is also sometimes called sheet mulching. Start by removing weed growth from an area. Even mowing very close to the ground is often enough. Next, place thick layers of newspaper over the area. You need 30 to 60 sheets thick. The next step is to place alternate layers of straw or hay, topped with manure, and then well-rotted compost or rich organic soil. The straw layers should be 10 to 25 centimetres thick. The manure will be just a sprinkling, maybe 2 or 3 handfuls per square metre. The compost or soil might be 3 to 5 centimetres thick. The hay or straw which you use must be free of weed seeds. Good quality lucerne hay is often the best. It might be expensive, but usually it's free of weed seeds. You now have a natural garden bed, in effect a high compost heap which looks something like this in cross-section. Because it sits above the ground, it drains well. Because it contains so much straw or hay, it holds water well, but is still open and friable. As the organic material in this heap decomposes, it releases a constant flow of nutrients to feed the plants growing in it. After planting into this no-dig garden in southern Victoria, it only took a couple of months for the plants to grow to full size. There were very few weeds, and watering was rarely needed, even over a hot summer. I built this bed at a holiday house. We left it unattended sometimes for up to 2 weeks, with daily temperatures over 30 degrees Celsius. The plants still didn't become dry, even in summer. Herbs can be classified in many different ways. Herbalists may group herbs according to their medicinal properties. Craftspeople might group them according to their uses for different crafts. Cooks will probably group them according to their use for cooking. Herb teas, spices, general herb flavourings, garnishes, and so on are all used by the cooks. The only accurate way to classify herbs is the same way you classify all plants. Broad groupings are called plant families. Plants in the same family have very general similarities, usually in terms of things like flower structure and very general growth requirements. Plant families are divided into small groups called genera. The singular is genus. The genus name is like your own surname, which is shared by everyone in your immediate family, but not necessarily all of your extended family. Plant genera are then divided into species. This is like your own Christian name. It's the species name that allows identification of one plant from another within one genus. The genus name usually begins with a capital letter, and the species name usually begins with a lowercase letter. There are sometimes exceptions though. Another plant grouping label that may arise is variety. This is where one plant of a particular genus and species is slightly different from another in the same genus and species. Most herbs are found in a small number of plant families. The most common plant families for herbs are Lamiaceae, Liliaceae, Apiaceae, Asteraceae, and Rosaceae. Getting to know these plant families makes it easier to identify herbs and easier to work out how to grow and use them. Plants in the same family are often likely to be treated similarly and often have similar chemical characteristics in their tissues. The mint family Lamiaceae, formerly called Labiatae, includes the following herbs: Anise hyssop, lemon balm, basil, bergamot, catnip, coleus, germander, hyssop, lavender, betony, mint, marjoram, oregano, rosemary, thyme, sage, savoury. Herbs in the Liliaceae family, this is the onion family, include adder's tongue, chives, garlic, onion, aloe vera, and tree onion. Occasionally some family members might be placed in the family Amaryllidaceae. The classification of families here is a little bit confusing. Usually it's Liliaceae though. The parsley family, previously called Umbelliferae, now called Apiaceae, includes angelica, caraway, chervil, coriander, dill, fennel, lovage, and parsley. The daisy family, Asteraceae, formerly called Compositae, includes southernwood, wormwood, tarragon, mugwort, chamomile, chicory, coltsfoot, costmary, curry plant, dandelion, calendula, alecampane, feverview, lavender cotton, marigold, tansy, and yarrow. Plants in the rose or Rosaceae family include agrimony, meadowsweet, potentilla, rose, silverweed, hawthorn, peach, almond, wild strawberry, and salad burnet. There are many other herbs which are easy to grow. but not as common as those previously mentioned. You won't find so many herbs in other families, but the following is still important. These are herbs which come from other families not covered in this tape. Most of what you're likely to grow or use will fit into one of the families covered though. One of the best ways to learn about herbs is to begin by learning the plant families. If you know the family which a herb belongs to, you can usually make educated guesses about how to treat that plant. Most plants in the daisy family, for instance, don't like to be waterlogged, but plants in the mint family usually will tolerate very wet soil. Plants in the parsley family are usually propagated by seed, while those in the mint family are propagated by division or cuttings. At the beginning of this tape, we looked at what a herb is and how herbs are used. We then learnt about the families, which most herbs are grouped into by scientists. The remainder of this tape looks at the most commonly grown herbs. Aloe vera is in the Liliaceae family. It grows to 80 centimetres tall, prefers drained soil, and it's valuable as a medicinal plant. The juice from the leaves is very good at healing wounds. You can just break a leaf off and dab at the end of the leaf as the juice oozes out on a wound. Very good on skin cancers too, if you treat skin cancers daily. Angelica archangelica is commonly known as angelica. It's in the Apiaceae family. It grows well in temperate climates. It requires a little bit more pampering along in warmer places. Once you get to subtropical climates, it's difficult to grow, maybe in the shade, but usually difficult. It's a hardy plant though in places which are a bit cooler. Climates like Melbourne or Tasmania, very easy to grow. Fast growing herb up to 2 metres tall, normally lives 2 to 3 years. Aniseed hyssop is in the Lamiaceae family. This is not aniseed and it's not hyssop. It's a plant that has a licorice or aniseed type of flavour to it or scent to it. Grows to 90 centimetres tall. Prefers a sunny spot. It's very hardy, but it's short-lived. It attracts insects, which are predators to various pest insects that are in the garden. It has a lot of value that way. Usually you propagate it by seed, and it's used in cooking for the licorice taste or the aniseed taste that it has. It's also good to attract bees to the garden. If you're growing fruit trees and you want to improve pollination, plant some aniseed hyssop. Basil comes in all different forms and shapes and sizes. It can grow from 20 to 60 centimetres tall. You can even get a purple leafed variety of basil, although most types of basil have bright green leaves. It's in the Lamiaceae family. It prefers well-drained, moist soil and full sun. Propagate it by seed. It has culinary and medicinal uses. Bay or bay laurel tree grows 10 to 20 metres tall, but it's very slow growing. It needs well-drained soil. It can be propagated by cuttings, but the cuttings can be slow to strike. It's useful though in cooking, particularly cooking meats and savoury dishes, vegetables. It also has some cosmetic uses. Monarda didyma has the common name bergamot. It's also sometimes called bee balm. It's in the mint or Lamiaceae family. It grows in a clump up to 1 metre tall. The flowers look great. You get a whole variety of different colours in the flowers, and they attract bees. It needs fertile organic soil though, and to really do well it needs a temperate climate. It's not so good once you start to get into warmer areas. Propagates easily by seed. It has culinary, cosmetic and ornamental uses. Borago officinalis, or borage, is in the Boraginaceae family. It grows 50 to 90 centimetres tall, prefers full sun, is okay in most soils, but it really does the best on fertile sandy soils. It's good as a cover crop. It's said to help concentrate a range of nutrients in the foliage, and then when you let it rot down after it finishes growing, it adds those nutrients into the soil and in a form that other plants can use. It's usually grown for culinary purposes or for attracting bees. Salad burnet is in the Rosaceae family. This small plant prefers moist, well-drained soil. It's fast-growing, can be propagated by seed or sometimes root division. The leaves have a strange sort of cucumber flavour, and this is used in salads, butters or vinegars. Caraway is in the Apiaceae family. It's a plant growing up to 50 centimetres tall. Prefers sun or light shade, dryish soil, is propagated by seeds or cuttings, and has both medicinal and culinary uses. Catnip is a plant growing 30 to 80 centimetres tall, depending where you grow it. It prefers full or part sun, and it's better in well-drained soil. Its main use is to attract cats. Now, if you've got problems with birds attacking berries or fruit trees, and you plant some catnip under the trees, that brings the cats along, and the birds tend to keep away from wherever there's cats. Lawn or Roman chamomile is in the Asteraceae family. It prefers well-drained, moist to dryish soil, but never bone-dry. It'll grow in sun or part shade, and grows up to 10 centimetres tall. It's usually grown as a lawn, or sometimes for its fragrant flowers, which can be harvested and used for culinary and medicinal purposes. As a young plant, German chamomile might look similar to lawn chamomile. It's in the same plant family, the Asteraceae family, and it has similar needs to lawn chamomile, but it grows a lot bigger, up to 90 centimetres tall, and it needs constant moisture. It won't tolerate those dryish conditions that the lawn chamomile might. You only propagate this by seed. The flowers, once again, like for lawn chamomile, can be used for both medicinal and culinary uses. Flowers off either of the chamomiles can be dried and then used to make a tea. Chives is in the Liliaceae family. The photo here is common chives with mauve flowers. Garlic chives are similar to this but has white flowers. Both are said to be good companion plants for all sorts of other plants, deterring both diseases and insects. Prefer fertile, drained soil, but they'll really grow just about anywhere in most climates. Chives grow in cool parts of Europe, Tasmania, and they grow right through Queensland. Chives can be used for culinary and medicinal purposes. This is Pelargonium quercifolium, cinnamon-scented geranium in the Geraniaceae family. You can actually get a whole range of different scented geraniums. Your scented geraniums have a real scent or flavour in the leaves, and that scent can vary from one type to another. Ginger grows into leafy clumps of plants which die back in winter. It grows best in warm climates. In fact, half of the world's commercial production is grown in southeast Queensland. You propagate it by division, and it has both medicinal and culinary uses. One of the best uses for ginger is actually to calm the stomach. Horseradish is in the Brassica family or Brassicaceae family. It grows 50 to 80 centimetres tall, needs moist organic soil to do well. It's propagated by root cuttings and has both medicinal and culinary uses. Hyssopus officinalis, or hyssop, is in the Lamiaceae family. It grows 30 to 80 centimetres tall, depending where you have it. Needs loose, well-drained soil and is really best in a cooler climate. Propagate it by cuttings or division. It attracts bees, has culinary uses, and the flowers can be used to add colour to potpourri. This is common or white jasmine in the Oleaceae family. There are actually a number of different jasmines you can get, and most of them have scented flowers. They grow as climbers, and they can become a bit weedy in some areas. They'll grow in a whole range of different climates. Some people can become allergic to the scent from the flowers though, so just think about your neighbours and other members of your family when you plant them. The scented flowers are used in cosmetics, soaps and potpourri. Lavender comes in many different species. You've got French lavender, which is Lavandula dentata. That's French lavender there, and that has little indentations in the leaves. That's why it's called Lavandula dentata. English lavender is another one, Lavandula officinalis or angustifolia. You've also got Italian lavender. This is Italian lavender here. Italian lavender is Lavandula stoicus. Now, different lavenders have different value from a commercial point of view. English lavender is the one we normally grow commercially for the oil, but in a home situation you can grow pretty well any lavender, and you can use pretty well any lavender. Some people actually use lavenders for culinary purposes. They make flavour breads and biscuits and things like that with it. It doesn't suit my tastes personally, but lavender is also used for cosmetic purposes. It's used in potpourri. It's used in a whole range of different things. Lemon balm is best in moist soils, but it can self-seed and become a weed. It's more vigorous in temperate areas, but it will grow in warm climates. Propagate it by seed or division. The leaves can be used in a tea, a fruit punch, or you can use it as a lemon substitute in cooking. We've got another lemon-flavoured herb here, lemongrass. This is in the grass or Poaceae family. It produces a vigorous clump in mild to warm areas, but it's difficult to grow in cooler climates. I've grown it in Melbourne, but I've found in a pot Bringing it inside over winter is probably the best way to do it there. Growing it on the Gold Coast in southeast Queensland, I've found it can just about take over the place. Here we've got another lemon flavoured plant, lemon verbena. This grows both in cool and warm climates. I've grown it in Melbourne, I've grown it on the Gold Coast. It needs a fertile and moist soil really to do well. I find, for my experience, it's tended to do a bit better and be able to grow it a little bit easier in Melbourne than on the Gold Coast. You propagate it by cuttings, and like the other lemon flavoured herbs that we've just looked at, it can be used as a lemon substitute in cooking. Classification of mints is confusing. Many are often named wrong, and even the experts don't agree on the proper scientific name for common mint. In fact, depending where you get your mint from, the plant might vary in appearance and in height. This is parsley, one of the most commonly grown herbs. It's in the Apiaceae family. Grows up to about 30 centimetres tall. Prefers drained soil, and it prefers plenty of organic matter in the soil, so if your soil isn't too rich, dig in some compost before you start. Full or filtered sun is the best. If you're in a warmer climate where there's a lot more light, you can get away with some shade though. Propagate by seed, and you can use it for cosmetic or medicinal or culinary purposes. Pennyroyal makes a great herb lawn. Its flowers attract bees. It repels insects, repels ants, and actually repels rodents too. That is, if you walk over it or crush it or release the scent. You propagate it by division. It grows very rapidly, and you can grow it in moist soils in most climates. Rosmarinus officinalis, or rosemary, is another commonly grown herb. It grows as a woody shrub, maybe up to about waist high in some places, but you can get varieties which almost creep along the ground too. It grows in most climates. Rue is in the Rutaceae family. This is the same family as citrus, and like citrus it has scented leaves. It has beautiful yellow flowers. Really adds a lot of colour to the herb garden at certain times of the year, and it grows to about 90 centimetres tall. Propagate it by seed or cuttings. It's used as a companion plant, and it also has medicinal uses. French sorrel can become a weed. It's a pretty vigorous sort of plant, and it can spread. It grows to about 90 centimetres tall. It has a bitter sort of taste to the leaves, but they're used commonly in salads, and sometimes they're cooked as a vegetable. Common sage is one of those common herbs which really every herb garden in just about every climate should have. It grows 50 to 90 centimetres tall. Like I said, grows in most climates. It needs good drainage, moist, fertile soil and full sun to do well though. Santolina, or lavender cotton, is in the Asteraceae family. It's often grown as a hedge. May have some insect repellent qualities, but that's really not been proven. It has yellow flowers that can be hung up and dried and used in dry flower arrangements. It's a pretty hardy sort of plant and can be propagated quite easily from cuttings. Winter savoury is another one of those plants in the Lamiaceae or mint family. Grows in most climates, grows 20 to 40 centimetres tall and creeps maybe half a metre to 3/4 of a metre in diameter. It has culinary and medicinal purposes. Southernwood's one of the artemisias in the Asteraceae family, related to wormwood and mugwort. It produces a low shrub which can be grown as a hedge and is said to have aphis repellent qualities. It's grown easily by cuttings. The English actually use it as a stuffing for lamb. Tansy is in the Asteraceae family. It forms a clump and it dies back in cold weather. If you grow it in warm climates, it doesn't tend to become too vigorous or invasive. In fact, it can take a few years to establish. You've got over 400 different species of thymes. Most are low shrubs or creepers. They all have fragrant foliage. Thymes are pretty hardy plants once they're established, but they prefer moist soil and plenty of sunlight, whether in a cool or warm climate. It's best to avoid extremes of wet or dry, though. All thymes can be used in cooking. Fresh or dried leaves can be added as a savoury flavour to meats, vegetables, eggs, even fish. Thymes also have an antiseptic and medicinal property. Ointments and inhalants made from thyme are very useful to treat bronchial conditions. Thymus vulgaris is perhaps the most commonly grown and used species. You've now seen more than 65 different herbs. These include plants that can be grown in most climates, from tropics to cool temperate zones. They also include herbs which can be used for all sorts of things, from medicines to cooking, and from crafts to companion plants. If you can learn about these herbs, you'll have a very good start to developing a valuable and useful knowledge of herbs. This is only the beginning of your learning about herbs though. There are easily more than 500 different herb plants which are used commercially, and some herb species have been developed so extensively that the one species might have hundreds of different varieties. It's a fascinating area of study, and there's always something new to learn.